Hello and welcome to Guarida Podcast. This is episode 5 and this is the English version. Si hablas español, aquí está el link abajo y puedes escuchar el episodio en español. Well, back to English. This is the first episode that I'm doing. First one in Spanish and then the other one in English. And basically, I'm trying to make a music production guide so everyone that wants to be a music producer or likes the topic about it or just it's a fan of making music or hobby or professional whatever. um, it's a way that you can learn about mixing and producing and mastering and everything. So I will share everything that I know. I studied music production in Full Sail University at Orlando, Florida. So I guess I know a little bit what I'm doing, and I hope you like the content and just enjoy it. So in this episode, we're going to talk about equalizers. So I'm going to talk about different types of equalizers, filters, and etc. So stay tuned for this. This episode will be available in Spotify and also in YouTube in video format. Spotify obviously is audio format. So let's dive in. So what is an EQ? Basically, an EQ is a processor that lets you add or remove any frequency that you want. So if you have a lot of high pitch like frequencies in a voice or in a signal that you don't like, then you can remove those or just lower them. And then if you have lower notes, just lower frequency ranges, just like a very boxy type of sound, then you can remove all of those. So that's basically what an equalizer does. So that's nothing more to know, just that. So let's talk about the different types. Let's go to the parametric EQ. The parametric EQ is the most basic one and the most advanced one at the same time. It's the one that everyone uses. The parametric EQ lets you add or remove any frequency that you want. You don't have any restrictions. You can go between 10K to 20K as you like. And there's no given frequencies. You have free will here. It's amazing. It's the most important one, and you can just, for example, boost 100 hertz. And that's here. Yo me pregunto cómo fue que me descubriste. You can boost here, and then you can lower 2K. Yo me pregunto la razón por la cual. And do whatever you want. So that's basically it. And then it's just the most basic one, and it's I love it. I love it because it's the one that everyone uses, and it's good enough. It's amazing. Then you have the semiparametric EQ. The semiparametric EQ lets you. So let's go with the semiparametric EQ. The semiparametric EQ, it's basically the same. So it's the middle one. It's parametric EQ is the best one. Semi-parametric is not that good, but it's okay. I mean, you have, for example, 0.36, 0.7, 1.6, 3.2. You have some given frequencies, but you can even manage to do whatever you want here. But you have these fixed frequencies, so you have like a tip or like a notion of what you're doing, and then you can, for example, put here, this EQ gives me 3.2 kilohertz. So okay, it's 3.2 here, so probably that's like a frequency that someone uses. So okay, and let's boost this 3 decibels. And then you have 35 hertz, 60 hertz, 110 hertz, and you can just boost or remove 6 decibels or whatever you want. Then you have the drive, so it's the output level. In case you lower a lot of frequencies, of low and mid or whatever, and then you just want to make up the gain and just have a healthy signal, then you boost. For example, if you took out 3 decibels in the mid section and then 3 decibels in the low gain, then you will boost 6 decibels, just basic math, and it will turn out to be the same volume almost. In case of some frequencies are whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, it's just common sense. Then you have the filters here. I will explain what are the filters at the end of the podcast. Okay, so you have the semiparametric EQ. Then you have the graphic EQ. This is very different because you can't choose whatever frequency you want. In this one specifically in Logic, you have 31 hertz, 63 hertz, 125, 250, 500, etc. So if I want to do, for example, 137 hertz, well, you're screwed because you can't do anything, because this equalizer just gives you between 125 and 250. So you don't have a choice. Everything is totally fixed. So you just have to stick with the frequencies that you are given. So it has its limitations, but I think it's easier when you're composing or when you're just doing a quick thing. Maybe just, okay, I want to just boost some high end. Let's boost here a little bit here. And then just take out this lower one and I have like a basic EQ, whatever. Yo me pregunto cómo fue que me descubriste. And that's it. You're not thinking of just surgically doing the EQ. You're just thinking about producing or whatever. If you want to just like do a super healthy mix and a surgically perfection, whatever, you won't need a graphic EQ. You're probably searching for the parametric EQ, which is the best one. So that's the graphic EQ. Then you have the dynamic. EQ. This one is awesome. I use it for mastering. Specifically, it's used a lot in mastering. So it's the same as the parametric, as you can see. It's very, very similar. But for example, if I want to boost the kick here, that is 174, for example, I'm just guessing here, then I will put the dynamic in dynamic mode, and I will put it so it does a motion up motion. So it says determines the direction of the dynamic trigger for the current band when a signal crosses the threshold. So it's basically an EQ and a compressor. So it's like a hybrid processor. So if I do that, and then the threshold is at minus 51, that it's absurd, but I'm just exaggerating. So hopefully you can hear it in the podcast. So I'm going to boost 3.5 decibels. And I'm going to press play, and the kick will pump up whenever it crosses the threshold. It will pump up 3.5 decibels just in this frequency. You can see the movement here. So I think this is awesome because you can, if you want to add more movement in the highs, like in 10K above, and you want to add movement in the snare and the kick drum and just tiny little details, you can do it with this EQ. It's perfect for just like in a master situation or just in an overall situation. You can do it obviously in individual tracks or stamps or whatever you need, but I like it for mastering. When you're mastering, this is super useful. It lets you have more movement. When you compress a little bit too much of the master, then you can make up for that compression with the dynamic EQ. So that's basically the dynamic EQ. Just going to quickly explain a little bit about. We're going to talk a little bit about filters. So I'm going to teach you the three basic ones. So there's the most famous one, my personal favorite, that is the low pass filter or the high cut. So it basically cuts the highs or pass the lows. So you can do it here. This is the figure. Then I cut it, for example, to like 300. So anything below 300, you will be able to hear it. So everything above 300 hertz, you won't be able to hear it. So it sounds a little bit like when you're at a club or like at a bathroom in a club or like in underwater setting or something. I love that sound. I think it sounds amazing. I like that sound very much as an effect. Obviously, you probably don't want to upload a Spotify song with a low pass filter on. Then you do the exact same opposite. So it's a high pass filter or a low cut filter. So you cut the lows or pass the high frequencies. And you can do it, for example, here at 1300 hertz, and it will sound a little bit like this. So what this filter is doing, as I said, is everything below 1300 hertz, you won't be able to hear it. Everything above 1300 hertz, you will be able to hear it. So it's basically canceling whatever you like. So it's an exaggerated version of an EQ. So instead of doing a little minimal things at 3.5 decibels, 2 decibels, you just go all the way and just take out the highs or the lows. Then we have the other one that is a band. It sounds a little bit more boxier, and it's the band pass filter. You take out the mids, and it doesn't sound very good, so I don't. But it's anyway. So you can learn how this sounds, and you can learn that a band pass is when you take out the mids. It sounds super boxy, and I don't like it. Yo me quiero sumergir. Déjame te digo lo que vamos a hacer. Un aguacero. That's a bandpass filter. So, probably logic thinking, critical thinking, but low pass filter, you pass the lows. High cut filter, high pass filter, pass the highs. Band pass filter lets the highs and the lows pass and cuts the mids. So it's just a little bit, I think it's easy. Low pass, pass the lows. High pass, pass the highs. Band pass filter, cuts the mids. That's basically all the filters that you need. And there's a lot of combinations, exaggerations, and whatever. But those are the three basic ones that let you do every other type of filter, automatization, everything. But that will be another topic for another podcast. So that's an EQ. So in conclusion, an EQ is a processor that lets you add or remove any frequency that you like. And there are several types of EQ. I just show you the basic ones so you can learn and you can just know a little bit about everyone. So it's a parametric EQ, semiparametric EQ, graphic EQ, and dynamic EQ. So there are a lot of different types, different brands, different sounds. Those are the basic ones. This software that I'm using is Logic Pro X, and this is some of them are the Logic stock plugins. The dynamic EQ is the one from Isotope. So I hope you like it. You like the podcast, and I'm doing this for just sharing my guide in music production and just doing a lot of tiny episodes about equalizer, compression, automatization, mixing, mastering, every topic that I like, I'm going to share it. So I hope you'll enjoy the video. And if you have any comment, I'm active in TikTok and Instagram, IGTV, Reels, every weird platform that Facebook owns. So hope you like the podcast. And this was podcast number 5, Equalizers. My name is Tico Acosta, or Alberto Gutierrez, because I'm talking in English and I need to avoid rolling the R. Gutierrez. My name is Alberto Gutierrez. Anyway, I'm just fooling around here. Thank you for watching. See you on the next podcast. Thank you. Bye-bye.